Yo, what is up, fam? It's your boy Legend, and I am back with another video. You already know what this is just by looking at the thumbnail. What if Naruto and Sasuke was sent to the Highschool DxD Universe? Now, guys, I have both good and bad news for you guys. I'm going to just break this series up into seasons. So, technically, season one of this is literally almost over. And I'm doing this because if I just do this straight out, I'm going to literally burn myself out. So I have to break it up into seasons. So season one of this is almost over. Literally, you only have like this episode and then another episode, and then it'll be over. And then I'll probably take like maybe 3 weeks off before you end up getting another upload of this specific what if. So that's the good and bad news. Plus, it would give me more time to work on other what ifs that I have in storage, basically. So, yeah, like goal for the video. You already know what that is. It's going to be 5 likes. So, get that like goal. Hit that subscribe button while you're at it. But without further ado, let's just get into this intro so we can start this what if. The stone-paved plaza outside of the Raiding Gang Stadium was silent. The match had ended minutes ago, but echoes of cheers, screams, and disbelief still haunted the night air like unwelcome ghosts. The moon cast a pale glow overhead, doing little to soften the bitter taste lingering in Naruto Uzumaki's and Sasuke Uchiha's mouths. They walked shoulder to shoulder, their strides calm but heavy with disappointment. Flanking them were Rainier and Calwinner, both walking in measured silence. Sensing the storm simmering beneath their boyfriend's expressions, Tsubaki trailed closely beside Sasuke, her gaze flickering between his tense jawline and Calwinner's contemplative stare. The five had come together expecting something worthwhile, a culmination of the effort they had given. Not this. Naruto's hands were buried deep in his pockets, his blue eyes scanning the empty streets like he was hunting for something to punch. 5 days, he muttered, voice edged with scorn. We gave them 5 damn days. 5 days of grueling physical drills, 5 days of tactical breakdowns, efficiency exercises, stamina training, coordinated mock battles, and psychological coaching. 5 days of poured in effort. 5 days wasted. Rainier reached out, slipping her hand around his bicep. Her long black hair rippled in the breeze. You did everything you could, she said gently. You both did. Rias just wasn't ready. She wasn't even willing, Sasuke said, voice sharper than the wind. That's worse. He stopped walking, eyes narrowing, as he replayed the match in his head. Riser, Yuba Luna, and Ravel played her like a game of shogi, and she let them. They had the upper hand, Calwinner said bitterly, but she still had pieces left on the board. Akena was barely scratched, and her power set countered Riser's entire team. But she held back. She begged Naruto not to let her end up as some pervert's plaything, Sasuke continued, tone turning cold. Then fought with only half her strength? That's not weakness. That's betrayal. Tsubaki said nothing. She couldn't defend Akeno. She wanted to, but the facts strangled every excuse before it could leave her lips. They had just begun to turn toward the main gate of the stadium when two powerful presences dropped from the shadows like falling thunder. Surzex Lucifer and Grafio Lucifuge. Even in their carefully controlled auras, their disappointment seeped through. Surzex was dressed regally, a crimson cloak fluttering behind him. Grafia was poised, still like, behind her calm expression. But both looked irritable beneath the professionalism in their eyes. Naruto, Sasuke, Surzex began, his voice firm but not aggressive. Naruto and Sasuke stopped walking, their respective girlfriends instinctively closing in, forming a subtle but very real defensive perimeter. You trained my sister and her peerage, Surzex said without introduction. Sasuke glanced sideways at him, eyes half-lidded. You already knew that. Why are you asking? Surzex chuckled lightly, though it didn't reach his eyes. You're right. I just wanted confirmation. Naruto's expression didn't change. If you're here to say thanks, don't bother. We wasted our time. She did better than expected, Surzex said. Only because of your training. They even lasted that long. Without it, Riser would have flattened them in under an hour. And now she's his, Sasuke said. For what? Being too soft? Watching her peerage fall one by one and doing nothing? Grafia stepped forward, silver eyes unreadable, as she reached into her sleeve and pulled out 5 red envelopes. Invitations, she said, to Rias and Riser's wedding. You are all invited. Naruto reached out to take them, but before he could pull away, Grafia's hand clasped around his with subtle force. It would be beneficial if you attended, she said, her voice just above a whisper. Naruto met her eyes, cold and unreadable. Grafia released his hand a moment later. Without another word, the 5 turned and left. The conversation exploded the moment they were far enough from the plaza. Kalwinner huffed, brushing her hair out of her face. Rias is way too damn soft. I still can't believe she forfeited everything. Her peerage's freedom, her own, just because her dumbass pawn was getting his ass kicked? Issei was already spent, Sasuke said, his tone disgusted. Even if he wasn't, they still would have lost. When Riser, Yubaluna, and Ravel stepped in, it was over. The only one left on Rias' side were Issei, who, by the way, was barely standing, and Akeno, who held back on purpose. She didn't want to be seen as a monster, Tsubaki muttered. Sasuke snorted. Then she should have stayed out of the game. Naruto finally spoke, his voice quiet but boiling with rage. I'm done helping her. They had something that could have won the game from the beginning and refused to use it. Selfish, pathetic, and embarrassment. Rainier reached over and squeezed his hand. You don't need to carry their failure. I trained her for 5 days, Ray, Naruto said, voice cracking just slightly. Sasuke and I, We handed them tools, strategies, escape plans, counters for every one of Riser's team. And she threw it all away. Without another word, Sasuke raised a hand. His Rinnegan shimmered as a swirling portal formed in front of them, deep velvet framed in spiraling black flame. The five stepped through it together. On the other side, they emerged in the warm, softly lit interior of the home of Naruto and Sasuke. The modern, clean, and filled with quiet energy. Naruto looked down at the wedding invitations in his hand, his expression unreadable. He read the date aloud. The wedding is in 5 days. No one said a word for several seconds. Then, Calwiner finally broke the silence. If Riser decides to start some shit with us, I might just kill him. Naruto and Sasuke didn't answer, but something shifted in the air. A flicker of silent agreement, and maybe a quiet promise. The sun rose slowly over Kuo Town, casting a golden hue over the Uzumaki and Uchiha residents. A heavy quiet lingered in the house, one not born of peace but of fatigue, disappointment. It hung in the air like humidity before a storm. Naruto sat at the kitchen island, sipping his coffee in silence, eyes distant. Sasuke leaned against the far wall, arms folded. Well, arm. Expression unreadable, but simmering. Rainier and Calendar were in the living room, the television on but volume low, neither really watching. Tension clung to them all like smoke. A knock sounded at the front door. None of them moved. The knock came again, softer, hesitant. Finally, Naruto rose, placing his cup down without a sound. He opened the door. There stood Rias Gremory. Her crimson hair shimmered in the daylight, but her face was pale, eyes rimmed with exhaustion and shame. She wasn't dressed in her usual Kuo uniform or noble finery, just a plain blouse and a skirt. Her hands trembled at her sides. Naruto, she said quietly, I need to talk to you, to both of you. Sasuke turned his back instantly and began walking down the hall. You're wasting your breath, he muttered as he passed Calwiner, who immediately fell into step behind him. Weakness gets no sympathy here. Calwiner didn't even spare Rias a look. Rainier stood by the kitchen entryway, arms crossed, gaze filled with quiet shame. You had everything you needed, and you still threw it away. Rias flinched. Her voice cracked. I didn't know what to do. We told you what to do, Naruto replied calmly. But his tone was cold, void of the usual warmth she associated it with. You just didn't listen. Rias swallowed. I came to apologize. Naruto held the door open wider. No need. We'll see you at the wedding. The word struck her harder than any attack she had ever taken during the waiting game. She blinked once, lips parting, but no words came. She simply nodded, turned around, and walked away. Hours later, Rias stood before the front door of a modest 2-story home in town, the Hyodo residence. She knocked once and was greeted by Issei's mother, who was surprised but polite. Issei's upstairs. He's still recovering, but I'm sure he'd be glad to see you. Rias nodded. Thank you. Upstairs, Issei lay in bed, bandages still wrapped around his torso, arms, and legs. His face lit up weakly when she entered. Rias. She said nothing at first, just walked over, and placed a hand on his cheek, then slowly began to disrobe. "You need to heal faster," she said quietly. "What are you doing?" Issei stammered. Rias lay beside him, pressing her bare skin against his. "Skin contact helps channel my power directly. You gave everything for me, Issei. I'm going to give you everything that I can." For the next 3 days, she healed him in secret. Day and night, she remained by his side, transferring her demonic energy, keeping him warm and alive. She cried silently when he slept, guilt and regret clawing at her heart. Then, the day arrived. The wedding. Ria sat alone in her bridal changing room, adorned in a resplendent white wedding dress with silver inlays and a ruby sash. Her makeup was perfect. Her eyes were hollow. Every minute that passed felt like a chain wrapping tighter around her. She stared at herself in the mirror. Just a few more minutes. Someone will stop this. Someone has to." The door cracked open. Her mother, Venelana Gremory, stepped in, elegant and imposing in a long violet gown. Her expression was neutral, but her voice was steel. "Enough of this. You've stalled long enough, Rias. You will marry Riser. Now." Rias looked up at her mother, pleading. "Mom, please." Venelana's eyes narrowed. "You had your chance. You forfeited. You lost. You will do your duty." Outside, the guests were gathering. The grand, demonic ballroom was filled with nobles, dignitaries, and onlookers. Dark stone columns rose into the vaulted ceiling. Enchanted candles floated through the air. The pews were filled to capacity. At the front, Naruto stood beside Sasuke. He wore a sleek black tuxedo, pressed and pristine, accented by a muted orange tie. Beside him, Sasuke matched him in a black tuxedo with a dark purple tie, his Rinnegan hidden beneath a faint bang of his hair. Rainier and Colliner stood with them. Rainier wore a fitted white button-up blouse with a high collar, paired with a sharp black pencil skirt. The orange Uzumaki squirrel proudly displayed on the fabric near her hip. Colliner wore the same, but her skirt bore the Uchiha crest. Across the aisle, Tsubaki stood with Sona in her peerage, similarly dressed to Colliner, the Uchiha crest displayed on her skirt as well. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Who are those two? Why are fallen angels here? This is a noble wedding, not a circus. One bold devil approached Colliner with a sneer and tried to shove her away. Before he could blink, black flames erupted all over his body. He screamed as the Amaterasu consumed him, and Sasuke didn't even turn to look. Another tried to grab Rainier by the arm and lead her out. Naruto simply touched the man, palm on his chest, and the devil instantly turned to bright pink coral. And with the flick of Naruto's hand, the coral shattered in the dust. Silence blanketed the area. No one else dared to approach. Only a few crossed the invisible perimeter around the two warriors and their companions. Sona in her peerage, Ravel, Ubeluna, Surzex Grathia, Seraphon, and the other influential mouths. Each of them recognized the contribution Naruto and Sasuke had made. They saw the power and precision that even the devils lacked. Serzex nodded with respect. Graphia offered a quiet, approving look. Serafal, for once, wasn't smiling like a child. She was watching Naruto with barely restrained interest. Ubaluna approached him, her long violet hair cascading around her bare shoulders. Her eyes flicked briefly toward Rainier. "You were Rias's trainer," she said, voice soft and sultry. "You were very thorough. I'd love to see your technique." Rainier slipped an arm around Naruto's waist and pulled him close. "He's taken." Kawaner mirrored the action with Sasuke, glaring at several noble women. Tsubaki, from across the room, did the same. But it didn't stop Ubaluna, or Ravel, or even Serafal, who leaned over and whispered to Graphia, never taking her eyes off of the two. Back inside the dressing room, Rhea stepped into the hallway, her heels clicking against the marble. Her face was a mask of resignation. The doors of the grand hall began to open. The ceremony was about to begin, and no one, not even Naruto or Sasuke, knew just how far Rhea's Grimory would go to avoid saying, "I do." The ballroom was dressed in grandeur. Gold chandeliers bathed the room in soft, warm light, and elegant devils lined the velvet carpeted floor. But amidst the opulence, a heavy silence hung in the air. All eyes turned toward the aisle as Venelana Grimory gently led her daughter to the stage where Riser Phoenix awaited, smug and arrogant. Rias walked like a corpse. Her steps were slow, mechanical, her crimson hair flowing like a funeral shroud behind her. Her sapphire eyes, usually full of fire, now stared blankly ahead, lifeless. She didn't even acknowledge the guests, not even her brother or her friends. Her fingers trembled slightly, hidden beneath her long silk sleeves. Naruto leaned forward in his seat, expression darkening. His heart twisted seeing Rias like that, so drained of spirit, so unlike her. But just as quickly as sympathy rose in him, it curled into something colder. He remembered. She gave up. She let Issei take her fall. She didn't even try. Naruto's eyes narrowed. Riser Phoenix stood confidently on the stage, his arms spread slightly as if welcoming a prize. The self-satisfied smirk on his face widened when he saw Rias approach. He turned slightly, his golden eyes scanning the crowd until they landed on Naruto and Sasuke, seated beside their fallen angel girlfriends. His lips curled into a sneer. "Well, well," Riser called out, loud enough for the room to hear. "Look who crawled out of their ramen stand to grace us with their presence. The famous trainers of Lady Rias. Or should I say, the failures who led her to defeat." Whispers rippled through the crowd. Riser continued, puffing his chest. "I'm honestly impressed. The Grimories let you two mutts in. Tell me, do you give cooking lessons or just sob therapy sessions? Oh wait, Naruto's probably too busy crying into his noodles." Laughter erupted from the majority of the guests, all except a few. Serzex, Graphia, Ravel, Rias and her peerage, Sona's group, and the fallen angel seated beside the Uzumaki and the Uchiha. Sasuke remained unmoved, calm, calculating. Only his left eye glowed faintly. "Oh, and look at Sasuke," Riser mocked. "The one-armed wonder." Did you lose that arm trying to be a devil? Or did it just rot away from disuse? Still, Naruto and Sasuke didn't flinch. You know, Riser drawled, Rias deserves real men, not sensitive little bitches and broken has-beens. And those girlfriends of yours? Scum. Sluts. You should have known better than to bring street trash into noble company. Gasps echoed. Riser grinned wickedly. In fact, for disrespecting Riser 3 weeks ago, slamming me into the ground like cowards, you two should compensate me. His gaze sharpened, eyes gleaming with cruel intent. Hand over your woman as sex slaves. That should even the score. The room went deathly quiet. Graphia and Sasuke were already closing in, eyes hard. But Naruto and Sasuke were no longer smiling. Sasuke stood first, his single eye locked with Riser's. Calmly, he said, "Unless you want your fangs in the floorboards, I recommend you shut up." The fury that overtook Riser was instant. You dare! He barely finished when everything happened at once. Naruto vanished in a body flicker. Sasuke's eyes rotated, heavenly hand power, and in a flash of black energy, Rias disappeared from the stage, swapped with Sasuke, who now stood beside Riser. Ravel screamed, "Oni-sama!" Lightning screamed to life in Sasuke's palm, the Chidori shrieking like 1,000 birds. Naruto's hand glowed with golden and blue light, the magnet-style Rasengan pulsing in his grip. Both charged, the air trembling around them. Riser's eyes widened. Fear was real. Rasengan! Chidori! Ravel threw herself in front of her brother, arms wide. Graphia and Sasuke cast a twin-layered barrier. The barrier shattered instantly. Both jutsus tore through the shield like paper, roaring toward Riser and Ravel, but stopped an inch away, hovering, crackling. Naruto and Sasuke stood there, fury burning in their eyes, control ironclad, inches from unleashing hell. If only it wasn't for Ravel being in the way. The silence returned. Then, poof, the ballroom door slammed open. "I refuse to let my king marry you." Issei stood at the threshold, panting, chest heaving behind him. A trail of bruises and scorch marks littered the hallway where he'd forced his way in. Riser's jaw dropped. Sasuke and Naruto didn't even turn. Their gaze remained locked on the trembling noble they could have killed, and yet didn't. Ravel sobbed quietly. Graphia and Sasuke looked grim. The ballroom, utterly shaken, held its breath, and the war for Rias' Gremory future had just reignited. But guys, I'm going to end it off right here. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe while you're at it. But without further ado, I am out, and I will see you guys in the next video. Stay blessed, y'all.